Your life begins to transform the moment you choose to think differently. And this, right here, could be that moment. This is Mindshift with Geetanjali, the space where you shift your mindset, rise above limitations, and reframe your reality. I'm Geetanjali, mindset coach, author, and your companion on this journey to rediscover the power that's already within you. Let's begin. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and thank you for continuing to walk this journey with me. This season, we are exploring the hidden emotional patterns that quietly shape our lives from underneath the surface. And today's conversation may surprise you because most people believe they are afraid of failure. But sometimes, what we are actually afraid of is success. Not consciously, but subconsciously. The visibility, the pressure, the responsibility, the change, the possibility of outgrowing old identities, relationships, or comfort zones. And this can create a hidden internal conflict where one part of you wants growth, while another part of your nervous system quietly resists it. So, if you have ever procrastinated on something important, held back yourself right before a breakthrough, questioned your worth after progress, or found yourself shrinking when opportunities appear, this episode is for you. As we do in every episode, let's look at the 4 P's: problem, promise, proof, and plan. Problem. Sometimes the very things we say we want are the same things we unconsciously resist. You want success, but delay taking action. You want growth, but stay inside familiar patterns. You want visibility, but suddenly feel anxious when people notice you. You want change, but keep returning to old habits, old environments, old versions of yourself. And many people judge themselves harshly for this. They think, why do I keep sabotaging myself? Why can't I stay consistent? Why do I pull back when things start going well? But often, self sabotage is not laziness, it's protection. Because deep inside, success may feel emotionally unsafe to the nervous system. Promise. But once you understand why the brain resists certain forms of growth, everything begins to make more sense. You stop seeing yourself as broken. You begin understanding the subconscious fears beneath procrastination, perfectionism, avoidance, and self doubt. And most importantly, you can begin teaching your nervous system that growth is safe. That success does not have to mean losing yourself. That visibility does not have to mean danger. That expansion does not require abandoning who you are. And slowly, you begin moving forward with more clarity, confidence, and emotional safety. Proof. Psychology and neuroscience now show us that the brain is wired for familiarity before possibility. The nervous system prefers what feels known, even when what feels known is limiting. Why? Because familiarity creates predictability, and predictability feels safer to the brain. So, if someone grew up around criticism, instability, scarcity, rejection, or emotional unpredictability, their nervous system may unconsciously associate growth and visibility with risk. Success may trigger fears like, what if people judge me? What if I fail publicly? What if I disappoint people? What if I lose relationships? What if I become someone people no longer accept? And because the brain is designed to protect us from emotional danger, it may create subconscious resistance to the very things we consciously desire. This is not weakness, it is nervous system conditioning. But the beautiful truth is, the brain can change. And awareness is the first step toward rewiring those patterns. Plan. So, what do we do if part of us unconsciously fears success? First, we begin becoming aware of the emotional beliefs connected to success. Not just what we consciously want, but what the nervous system associates with growth, visibility, and expansion. Second, we stop shaming ourselves for resistance. Resistance is often information. It may be revealing fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of pressure, or fear of no longer belonging. And third, we begin creating emotional safety around growth. Instead of forcing ourselves harshly forward, we teach the nervous system that success can feel grounded, aligned, and safe. Because sustainable growth does not happen through self-attack, it happens through nervous system safety, self-awareness, and repeated emotional reinforcement. And this connects deeply to last week's episode. Why do the same triggers keep showing up? Because many forms of self-sabotage are actually triggered protection patterns. Sometimes the nervous system is not resisting success itself, it is resisting what success emotionally represents. Let's look at the science section and talk about what is happening neurologically when success feels threatening to the nervous system. The brain is constantly trying to maintain emotional predictability, and one of the brain's primary goals is energy conservation and survival. Means the nervous system often prefers familiar emotional states over unfamiliar ones, even if those familiar states are stressful or limiting. If someone has spent years identifying with struggle, invisibility, perfectionism, or self-doubt, success can actually feel emotionally disorienting. Because success requires identity expansion, and the brain tends to resist identity shifts that feel uncertain. This involves several parts of the brain and nervous system. The amygdala scans for emotional risk and uncertainty. The basal ganglia stores habitual behavioral patterns and familiar routines. And the prefrontal cortex helps us consciously evaluate situations and make intentional decisions. But when growth feels emotionally unsafe, the emotional brain can override the logical brain. This is why people sometimes procrastinate immediately before breakthroughs, or suddenly lose motivation after making progress, or shrink themselves after receiving recognition. The nervous system may interpret visibility, change, or expansion as potential emotional danger. Especially if earlier life experiences connected attention with criticism, achievement with pressure, or success with emotional disconnection. And this creates an internal tug of war. One part of the mind wants growth, another part wants safety. This is also when neuroplasticity becomes incredibly important, because every time you take aligned action while remaining emotionally regulated, you begin teaching the brain a new association. Growth is safe. Success is safe. Visibility is safe. And over time, the nervous system stops perceiving expansion as a threat. Imagine someone named Daniel. Daniel has dreamed of starting his own business for years. He talks about it constantly, researches it endlessly, takes courses, creates plans, but every time he gets close to launching, he suddenly becomes overwhelmed. He procrastinates, distracts himself, questions his abilities, and finds reasons to delay. And afterward, he feels frustrated with himself. Part of him truly wants success, but underneath it, success feels dangerous. Growing up, Daniel was often criticized whenever he stood out. Achievement created pressure, mistakes created shame, visibility attracted judgment. So, now even though his conscious mind wants growth, his nervous system associates visibility with emotional risk. And this happens to so many people. Sometimes we are not resisting success itself. We are resisting the emotional discomfort, uncertainty, or vulnerability we subconsciously connect to. We are resisting the emotional discomfort, uncertainty, or vulnerability we subconsciously connect to it. Here's another relatable story. Imagine someone named Sophia. Sophia finally begins receiving recognition for her work. People compliment her, opportunities begin appearing, others start noticing her gifts. But instead of feeling excited, she begins feeling anxious. She overthinks everything, second guesses herself, starts comparing herself to others, feels pressure to be perfect. And deep inside, a quiet fear begins emerging. What if I cannot maintain this? What if people expect too much from me? What if success changes how people see me? And without realizing it, Sophia begins shrinking herself again. Not because she lacks potential, but because success feels emotionally unfamiliar. Her nervous system learned how to survive struggle, but it never learned how to feel safe receiving success, visibility, and expansion. So today I want to give you a practice called the Success Safety Reset, because healing self-sabotage begins by helping the nervous system feel safe with growth. The next time you notice yourself resisting something important, walk through these 5 steps. Step 1. Notice the resistance. Pause and ask yourself, What am I avoiding right now? Be honest. Is it visibility? Taking action? Being seen? Being judged? Outgrowing old comfort zones? For me, I felt all these: visibility, action, being seen, judged, outgrowing old comfort zones. Step 2: identify the fear underneath it. Now ask, what feels emotionally unsafe about succeeding? Not logically unsafe, emotionally unsafe. Maybe it is fear of judgment, fear of pressure, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of change, or fear of losing connection with others. 3. Notice the old pattern. Ask yourself, where have I felt this before? This helps uncover subconscious conditioning. Many fears around success are rooted in earlier emotional experiences connected to criticism, pressure, or belonging. Step 4: regulate the nervous system. Take slow breaths, relax your shoulders, ground yourself physically, because a calm nervous system processes growth differently than a fearful one. You cannot create sustainable expansion from chronic emotional survival. Step 5: take one safe, aligned action. Not a massive leap, one safe, aligned action. Send the email, post the content, apply for the opportunity, start the project, speak up, share your work. Because every small action teaches the nervous system, I can grow without losing myself. And remember, the goal is not becoming fearless. The goal is teaching your nervous system that growth no longer equals danger. That you are safe being seen, safe succeeding, safe expanding, safe becoming more of who you truly are. And before we close today, I want to guide you through a visualization designed to help your nervous system feel safer with growth, visibility, and expansion. Visualization helps the brain rehearse new emotional experiences. And when practiced consistently, it can help create new neural associations around confidence, safety, and self trust. So, this exercise is designed to help your mind and body begin connecting success with calm instead of fear. Take a slow, deep breath in and gently exhale. Again, slowly breathe in and exhale softly. Allow your body to relax. Now imagine yourself standing in front of a doorway. On the other side of that doorway is the next version of your life. The version where you stop shrinking yourself. The version where you trust your gifts. The version where you allow yourself to grow. And notice something important. The doorway is not forcing you. It is simply waiting for you to feel ready. Now slowly begin walking toward it. And with every step, notice old fears beginning to soften. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of visibility, fear of not being enough. You do not need to fight those fears, simply acknowledge them. And continue walking anyway. Now place your hand gently on the doorway, and as you step through, imagine a calm, warm light surrounding your body. Not pressure, not overwhelm, safety. Grounded, confident. And now see yourself in this next version of your life. Speaking confidently, creating freely, receiving opportunities calmly, trusting yourself more deeply. Not because you became perfect, but because you stopped abandoning yourself out of fear. And quietly repeat within yourself, it is safe for me to grow. It is safe for me to be seen. I do not need to shrink to feel accepted. I can succeed while staying grounded and authentic. I am becoming the person I was meant to be. Take one final slow, deep breath in and exhale gently. Allow your nervous system to remember growth can feel safe. So this week, pay attention to where you may be unconsciously holding yourself back. Notice where fear disguises itself as procrastination, perfectionism, overthinking, or hesitation. And instead of judging yourself, become curious. Ask yourself, what part of me is trying to stay emotionally safe right now? Because often the greatest breakthroughs happen when the nervous system finally realizes growth is no longer dangerous, and neither is becoming who you truly are. And next week, join me for the next episode. What if self-sabotage is actually self-protection? Because we are going to explore why the nervous system creates behaviors that seem destructive on the surface, but underneath are often attempts to avoid emotional pain, rejection, overwhelm, or fear. Thank you for joining me today on Mindshift with Geetanjali. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message and subscribe for next week's episode. Every moment of awareness you create today builds the reality you live tomorrow. Keep rising, keep shifting, keep reframing, and keep becoming who you're meant to be. Rise, shift, reframe, become.